Hello, everyone. I'm Suresh Mathew, founder CEO of Sedai, the self-driving cloud. In the next 15 minutes, I will answer one question. Can you trust AI to optimize your cloud? We will discuss what we mean by cloud optimization, what an autonomous system is, and why it is extremely important to see how an autonomous system optimizes your cloud. I believe it is at the top of your to-do list, this cloud optimization as a problem statement as an engineering leader, because this can decide whether you save millions of dollars or you waste millions of dollars on cloud spend. Let's take a look at why this is extremely complex to manage. In most companies today, cloud is out of control. 3 reasons. Number 1, the scale. Number 2, the change frequency. Number 3, the fragmentation. Number 1, scale. There are thousands of resources, sometimes tens of thousands of resources. There are multiple clusters out there. There are applications out there. There are configurations for it, and everything is extremely complex and extremely interconnected. The second problem, which is the change frequency. Both the resource itself, the code itself, they change. The demand also changes. So if the resource and the demand both change, then it becomes extremely hard to manage the configuration that's driving it. The third, fragmentation. There are multiple engineering teams pulling stuff in multiple different directions because of the right priorities, but they are all fragmented. The result is a massive risk. According to McKinsey, 30% of cloud spend is wasted. 50% of the engineering time is spent on toil, the things that engineers do not want to work on. They are creative by nature, and these are the things that they don't want to really spend their time on. And 82% of the issues in production are caused by human misconfiguration or human mistakes in configurations. Now, what is the solution here? In most cases, there are 3 ways to attack a problem statement today. One is the manual approach, continue doing what you were doing. Second is automated approach. And the third is AI, the autonomous way. And as engineers, we are skeptical that's the right instinct, especially when you were to trust a system. You don't have to do that unless it's absolutely required. And in this case, in this unoptimized world, AI is the only safe way out. Now let's discuss the first approach, the manual approach. There are hundreds of microservices. Look at this example. For this service, there are 70 to 100 combinations in 1 month. Is it feasible to do this manually? No. Answer is no. Now let's switch to the automated approach. And this is where we need to spend some time. So what is the difference between automated approach and autonomous approach? Autonomous systems are intelligent automated systems. Let's take an example again. There is an application that's configured to use 5 CPUs. Let's say it's $1 per CPU. You're paying $5 to your cloud provider. But you saw from metrics that your application is using just 3 CPU. So you're paying for 5, you're using only 3. What is the normal or the default next step? Remove the 2 and save $2. There is no AI in this. 5 minus 3 is 2. It's called subtraction. It's simple. Now, what is stopping us from doing this? It is extremely risky to do it. I'll tell you a few reasons. I'll give you a few reasons. One, what if the metric was wrong? Meaning it didn't have the right resolution, so it did not pick up a spike that was in the metric. The resolution was not granular enough to pick that spike. Second, let's say the application was using that during a startup or at peak where you were not considering it. Those are the reasons why people do not trust those metrics. That is the only time you need AI. Otherwise, it's all math. That's why we built Sedai, to put this AI in so this decisioning can be made easy. So automation, the biggest problem is, yes, it works in all the straightforward use cases where you can afford to take risks, which is almost in no case people in production want to take this risk. So in other words, automation does not work in case of cloud and optimization, period. This is the architecture of Sedai. So we have a set of agents working together to figure out how exactly can we run your cloud better. For this, we need two main connections to your cloud. The first one is to your cloud APIs to understand the topology of your cloud applications, the kind of deployments you have there, the kind of load balancers, the serverless applications, things of that nature, the topology of your cloud. That's the first input. The second input is the metrics emitting from these cloud applications. It could be from Datadog, New Relic, Prometheus, or a homegrown cloud provider, Mimir, or things of that nature. The metric provider. That's the second connection. The third is really understanding your SLOs. It could be you providing us the SLOs or us figuring out what kind of SLOs you would want to have on your cloud. Once these three inputs are given to us, the agents will start working towards what can be done to make things better. Better could be better cost, better availability, or better performance, or all of them. Once it figures out opportunities like the one that I shared in the previous slide, the example, right? From 5 CPUs, you can bring it down to 3 CPUs. That's called an opportunity, but we don't act on that. That's when we deploy our reinforcement learning on top of that. That's when we convert a recommendation to an action. That's the secret sauce of any autonomous system. An autonomous system has that innate decision-making ability. That's when it can figure out, can I take this action or I should say no to it? That is the difference between Sedai and the rest of the systems. There are 1,000 companies out there, including even the cloud providers, that would give you recommendations on what can be done. Sedai is unique, or an autonomous system is extremely unique in this case. We know how to take those actions safely. That's a key ingredient there, safety. We take those actions. Once we take those actions, we send them back as PR to your source control. It could be GitHub or anything similar. That's how we complete the loop. So if you look at the evolution of the systems, we started with a manual approach, right? So where we were looking at tasks, we were executing some of those with clicks. Then we moved towards an automation where APIs played a huge role, scaled automation. And that era is now over, and we are now in an AI era, right? We are now figuring out how we can make things autonomous. So as leaders, I strongly suggest you, when you have a project, when you have anything, a task in front of you, look for a sieve or a filter that can take all the things that can be done by an autonomous system. Generally, these are all simple tasks, right? And you can then deploy your engineers and your admins on the higher order tasks. So this noisy task should be handed over to an autonomous system. Don't rely on a reporting tool. Don't rely on a UI tool that tells you how much money are you wasting. You have to really take the next step where AI can play a crucial role in getting your productivity up. Your engineers should be really working on things that they really love to do and they're super good at. They should be protected from the risks of all these changes coming to your system. That's exactly where you have to deploy an AI system. Now, for us, we do understand that cloud management is generally done max at an automated fashion. That's why we have 3 modes of operation. So first, we call it data pilot. It's a recommendation UI way of telling you where you're spending money, where can you optimize, and what can be done to make things better. These are just number math recommendations. The second is, we call it co-pilot, which is the safe automated way. It's semi-autonomous in the sense you click a button and that's when Sedai acts on it. When you ask it to stop, it stops. It asks for approval on every step. The key here is the safety injected into the automation. Even if you ask Sedai to do, at times it might say, I cannot do it because I don't think it's safe. So it's not just automation, it's automation plus AI. That's called Copilot. And the last is Autopilot, where you don't even have to ask Sedai to do something. It'll figure out what's the right opportunity and it'll execute it on your behalf. So how does this autonomous cloud look like, right? You have the new cloud. The first aspect of it is a unified view, which is filtered by an autonomous system. I'll explain what I mean by that. So today you have a set of alerts coming to you saying, can you have 10 opportunities to optimize or do something? In this world, you will have those 10 recommendations, but out of that, 5 would be already executed by an autonomous system. Now your developers only have 5 things to look at. So that's really the command center or the AI filtered view of recommendations. The second aspect is release intelligence or change intelligence. When developers write code and release it to production, you have an AI that can figure out how exactly is this change going to perform in production, how it compares itself to the last few releases, and it'll give you a report of what could be done to optimize things. The third view is stay always optimized, right? So that's extremely hard for an automated system because you need to continuously keep things running, click, and make sure that the configurations are all good. Once you have an AI system, an autonomous system in play, it's continuously learning, which means it's always adapting to the needs, be it the change in resources or the code changes that your developers are making, or the demand changes that the market is really bringing in. In both cases, the autonomous system always makes sure that there is no wastage at any point on your cloud. So thank you very much for your time. I don't take it for granted. I hope you're excited to start your journey to self-driving cloud. If you have any questions or you want to know more about self-driving, please check out www.sedai.io. Thank you very much.